you can mark your calendars for January 17th, 2025, because this is the date of the first episode of season 2. Now, I was hoping for a fall release, but to be honest, January isn't that far off. Honestly, it just feels good to finally have a date to look forward to. Now, as you might expect, the trailer itself doesn't give us a whole lot in the way of clues, but it's just enough to get the theory gears working. So let's dive into this trailer scene by scene and see what we can learn about season 2. Before we begin, quick shout out to the newest patron members, Joe Ellis and Entropy. Also, special shout out to some dude named Riv. A little bit of an inside joke, I'll explain later. Anyway, thanks so much for supporting me and what I do here. Your names will be in the closing credits of every video going forward. All right, quick intro, check. It's time to dive. So the new season 2 trailer opens with a series of shots of the MDR members getting into the elevator that takes them to the severed floor. Meanwhile, we hear the alternating voices of Mark and Helly as they recite their severance contract that confirms that they understand that the procedure is comprehensive and irreversible. Now, I'm wondering if this sequence is proof that the MDR crew remains intact after the events of season 1. The fact that Helly is shown getting into the elevator is very interesting because we were all wondering what would happen to her, seeing how she's the boss's kid and she's also guilty of trying to expose the secrets behind the Severance project to the entire world. If Helly is back on the severed floor, it could mean that the work she does is actually important enough that they needed to keep her on. So this scene is followed by a quick but intense montage of various characters in different scenes. Let's slow things down a bit to get a better look at it. So the first clip is of someone speeding through the Lumen parking lot on a bike, and they're doing so at a decent clip in the middle of the night. The parking lot is empty, so this is after hours. We can guess that this person may be doing some sneaking around. Who could it be? If it's someone we already know, my guess is Ragabi. She's somewhat of a badass, and I could picture her sneaking around the building and using the bike for a quicker exit should she be followed. We do get another shot of the biker in the tunnel, but I don't see any way of identifying the rider besides the plate that reads LFS 149. So just keep that in the memory banks for now. Now there's a very short clip of Mark cautiously peeking into a room, and by the looks of the shot, it appears to be happening inside Lumen, and it's probably on the separate floor. No doubt they're still sneaking around like they did in the first season, and he probably is discovering new things about Lumen. There's a shot of Helly walking down a glass hallway, and she appears to be wearing the same evening dress that she has on at the gala in the end of season 1. So we can guess that this is taking place right after she tried to blow up Lumen. I can't confirm her location, but it's probably the Lumen site based on the lighting. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that the board has a few questions for her after the night's fiasco, and that might be where she's headed in this shot. She's probably in Audi mode here because Milchick already ended the overtime contingency when he blitzed Dylan back at the control room. Now back to that montage. Dylan is shown opening the door to the control room again, suggesting that MDR is back at it. However, I did look up the scene where Dylan triggers the overtime mode in the first season, and he's wearing the same exact tie and jacket, so this might be a flashback to season 1. If not, this scene might be related to them trying another jailbreak, but perhaps they'll use another protocol, because you would think that Lumen would be extra careful about things this time. They don't want a round 2, and that also makes me question whether this is a new scene or a flashback. Next up, we have Cobell staring at the camera with a wild look in her eyes. No clue as to where she is, but Cobell must flip anyone. Season 1 made it pretty clear that she's not too hot on Lumen, but she is down with Kier, and that puts her in the enemy of my enemy category. So we'll have to see. Next, we have a brief action shot of Mark running in what appears to be the Lumen parking lot. This is too short to gain anything from, but we do see Mark wearing the same coat running through the snow in another shot. I would hazard to guess that this is related to the shot of him running in the Lumen parking lot also. This and a few other clues seem to be saying that Mark's entire goal in life is to infiltrate Lumen and get Gemma out, and these scenes are crumbs off the cookie. Now the next shot threw me for a loop. I didn't quite understand what I was looking at initially, but this shot of Helly crawling on her hands and knees is taking place in the Lumen hallway. Am I losing it, or does the ceiling look very, very low? Now, we know some of the hall ceilings are intentionally low, but I'm getting Alice in Wonderland vibes off this shot, and I can't imagine why she would need to get on the floor like that. So next up, we get a quick shot of an animated flip book. Being the most melaninated man on the cast, I just made that word up, I think this might be our guy, Milchick, and the flip book probably belongs to Irv. Now we know Irv is a man of the culture and he has a deep appreciation for the arts, being a painter and all. The thing is, the images of the man in the flip book appear to be a much younger Burt Goodman. Very interesting. This could confirm the suspicions of many fans that Burt and Irv have been in a relationship before, but Irv can't remember because they were both severed. probably to punish them or simply end the relationship. Besides that, Irv gives us a belly laugh with Felicia for some reason. We won't know what's so funny until next year, but I'm sure we'll find it just as funny when we find out. There's another shot of Milchick and he's rushing down the hallway to put out some fire on the floor. Now this one doesn't appear to be a flashback because he's Sans Blazer in that scene, so this is new. What's he running off to? Another security breach? Who knows? Honestly though, this guy's job sounds like a nightmare. The next one is, in my opinion, the biggest reveal of the trailer, besides seeing Helly back on the severed floor. It's more Dr. Ragabi, and she's back in the lab. This shot seems to show her with some lab equipment and some saline bags while she's looking down at her patient. Is this a shot of Dr. Ragabi reintegrating someone? Perhaps it's Mark. I mean, you would think so, since getting reintegrated would give him the best chance at succeeding, and it follows his best friend's arc, Petey. Except maybe Mark won't make the same mistakes Petey made this time. Pure speculation, but it looks like the type of shot they might use for the MDR reunion post the season finale. They all find each other again in the old MDR office, confused as to what happens next. And then in walks, my guess, it's probably Milchick as usual. So we're getting close to the end of the trailer, and before it closes out, we get a shot of a woman who appears to be working on the severed floor. She's dressed like she works in a different department, possibly O&D or some other department, and she says the lines,
"You should have left."
We don't know what she means by that, but we can guess that maybe she's referring to Mark or Helly. The question though is, why would somebody on the floor be talking like this? I find that really fascinating. And of course, the final shot is of Helly and Mark, who appear to walk into a room and see something that blows their minds and leaves them speechless. The look on Mark's face here is priceless. But this shot takes me right back to the scene where they find the goats, where they have that puzzled look on their face. I think this is something similar. So we're probably gonna see some really crazy stuff in season 2 on the floor, and we get to discover it along with them. Anyway, that's it for the trailer coverage. They did a really good job with this trailer, keeping the scenes short and varied. It confirms a couple of things, but more importantly, it really just raises the heat around the show, and that's always good. This show is still sorely underrated. January 17th, it's more than 6 months away, but hey, things could be worse. Kindness is king, and until we meet again, tinfoilers, off you go.